something is brewing in Santa Clara that could completely change the way this team starts the season. The first day of training camp has already revealed more questions than answers, and what's happening behind the scenes may shock many fans. The offense, which struggled to find its rhythm last year, now faces an even greater challenge. And the situation at a key position group is becoming uncertain. Injuries, off-field issues, and contract drama are colliding at the worst possible time, leaving serious doubts about whether the unit can keep pace with the rest of the league. And here's the real twist. The front office is already making moves, bringing in new faces in an attempt to fill the gaps. But are these moves enough to keep the situation stable? Or are we facing the beginning of a bigger problem? I'll share all the details, but first, click like and subscribe to the channel for more news. Let's go! Chaos is brewing within the San Francisco 49ers wide receiver corps. And all this on the eve of the first official training camp practice. At the SAP Performance Center in Santa Clara, fans need to know that the team is far from stable at that position, and this could directly impact the team's ambitions in 2025. Can you imagine starting the season without Brandon Aiyuk? With Ricky Pearl once again dealing with injury issues, Jauan Jennings unhappy with his contract, and Demarcus Robinson facing a possible suspension for a DUI. Well, that's exactly the reality for the team right now, and you need to understand the details. Starting with the star player in the receiver corps, Brandon Aiyuk. After signing a multi-million-dollar, $30 million per year contract and getting injured against the Kansas City Chiefs in October, the team's number one wide receiver is far from back. John Lynch, the team's general manager, was categorical in stating that Aiyuk is nowhere near having a concrete timetable for his return, despite some speculation that he might be well along in his recovery and perhaps available for Week 1 that has already been ruled out. He'll most likely only suit up again midway through the 2025 season. For an offense that struggled with inconsistencies last year, losing its top target for so long is a huge blow. And that's not all. Ricky Pearl, who was expected to make a surge in production in his second year, begins training camp on the PUP physically unable to participate list. Shanahan even said in the spring that they were being cautious and that, if necessary, Pearl could have trained, but now that the moment has come, he's not ready. It's another chapter in the story of a player who, since arriving in the NFL, has been plagued by physical issues, and if the Niners' offense was already the most injured in the league last year, this raises red flags for 20-5. Jauan Jennings, meanwhile, creates another point of tension, although Shanahan denied today that the player requested a trade. Adam Schefter revealed that Jennings wants either a new contract or to be traded. The team expects him to practice normally, but let's face it, an unhappy player with pending contractual issues is rarely 100% committed to the field. And as if all this weren't enough, there's the case of Demarcus Robinson. He was arrested in November after a game against the Eagles, driving over 100 miles per hour under the influence. He won't serve jail time, but the NFL could impose a suspension of up to 4 games. And the Niners still have no official update on the case. With so much uncertainty, the question is inevitable. Who will Brock Purdy throw the ball to? The offense already struggled last year, being the second most injured in the league and the most injured in the NFL overall. It lacked rhythm, consistency, and efficiency, especially on third downs and in the red zone. And if the lack of continuity was already a problem, this chaotic situation at wide receiver could make things even more complicated. The team knows this, so much so that it recently worked on 6 receivers in search of reinforcements. Among the names are Quintez Cephus, Grant Dubose, Ramel Keaton, Stanley Morgan, Brandon Powell, and Equanimeous St. Brown, and it was precisely the latter who earned a contract. St. Brown, brother of Amon-Ra St. Brown of the Detroit Lions, brings experience. Size 6'5" and is a good run blocker, but his career production is modest. In his best season, in 2022, he had just 323 yards and 1 touchdown. Last year, he played only 2 games for the Saints. This clearly shows that the Niners are trying to fill holes with available players on the market, and not necessarily with impact solutions. Could Equanimeous St. Brown surprise and become a key player? It's hard to bet on that, but in such a weakened unit, any contribution will be welcome. Now I want to hear from you. For Niners fan, given this complicated scenario, are you concerned about the team's receiving corps? Do you think Brock Purdy will be able to keep the offense productive even without Aiyuk? And with so many doubts, comment below. Let's dive deeper because the chaos at the wide receiver position doesn't just stop with the injuries and contract drama. It's also about who the 49ers are bringing in and whether any of these new faces can realistically make an impact. The fact that San Francisco worked out 6 receivers before signing just one speaks volumes. This is a team desperately trying to find depth. But are they getting real contributors or just filling roster spots? Equanimeous St. Brown is the headline addition, and let's be honest, he's more of a depth piece than a potential game changer. Drafted by the Green Bay Packers in 2018, St. Brown's best year came in 2022 with the Chicago Bears, where he posted 323 yards and a single touchdown. He's a solid run blocker, something Kyle Shanahan values highly, and his 6 feet 5 inches frame adds size the 49ers currently lack at the position. But if we're talking about reliability as a receiving threat, his career numbers simply don't scream impact player. He's averaged fewer than 200 receiving yards per season across his career. In other words, he might help in certain packages, but fans shouldn't expect him to suddenly step up and replace a player like Brandon Ayuk. The other names worked out on Monday, mostly long shots. Quintez Cephas flashed early in his career, but hasn't been able to stay healthy, and was suspended in 2023 for a gambling violation, something the NFL has been cracking down on hard. Grant Dubose, a 7th-round pick by the Packers in 2023, has yet to play a regular season snap. Ramel Keaton and Stanley Morgan Jr. are mostly camp bodies, with Morgan hanging onto NFL rosters since 2019 largely because of special teams contributions, rather than offensive production. Brandon Powell is a slightly more intriguing name. He's got legitimate speed, has played in systems similar to Shanahan's under Sean McVay and Kevin O'Connell, and put up 324 yards and a touchdown with the Vikings in 2023. But even then, Powell has always been a role player, never a consistent starting option, and that's the big problem. The 49ers aren't just missing depth, they're missing proven production. Right now, Brock Purdy's top options at receiver for the first half of the season could realistically be Jauan Jennings if he stays focused despite his contract situation, rookie Jordan Watkins, and veterans like Russell Gage or Isaiah Hodgins, neither of whom has shown star potential. Kyle Shanahan is great at scheming open receivers, but even he needs reliable talent to make the system work, especially when defenses focus on shutting down George Kittle and Christian McCaffrey. The front office knows this, which is why John Lynch is leaving the door open for another signing. Don't be surprised if the 49ers make another move before Week 1, especially if a veteran name becomes available after preseason roster cuts. Because let's be honest, if this team wants to compete deep into the playoffs again, they can't rely on a patchwork group of receivers for long. Now, I want to hear from you, faithful. Looking at the names the team has worked on, Cephas, Powell, St. Brown, and the rest, do you think the 49ers have already found the answer at wide receiver? Or should John Lynch continue looking for another veteran to help Purdy now? Leave your opinion in the comments. Don't forget to like and subscribe to stay informed. Go Niners!